Okay, so there were 13 playoff games we just watched, and I'll be honest, there were some blowouts in this mix here. They weren't all super competitive, but there were some great games as well. I thought this could be a fun tier list now that it is officially the offseason. I'm going to rank every playoff game in terms of how entertaining I found it. This is incredibly subjective, so we can feel free to agree or disagree here. But the four categories are must-watch TV, entertaining, meh, and then Z's. Let's start off with the Steelers-Ravens, which it's a tough one to start off with because I definitely would not put it in the entertaining tier. I think meh feels right. It wasn't the most boring game in the world. Like, there was always the threat of, the thing is, the Ravens just looked so dominant the whole game. We all knew that they were going to win, but it's fun to watch the Ravens offense operate, I suppose. And, Steelers-Ravens is always kind of fun. And it wasn't like the score wasn't a blowout. So you could still kind of talk yourself into, if the Ravens make one mistake, maybe it'll go horribly wrong, but ultimately not a super entertaining game, I would say. Packers-Eagles, another one where I think meh feels correct. Like, it feels, again, there were some turnovers in here. It felt like the Packers had a chance for a decent chunk of this. If you remember, in the second half, the Packers kind of kept trying to come back. They were down 2 scores. They would score, and then the Eagles would score again. So it kept feeling like if they can just get one stop, they can make something happen, and it just never happened. But ultimately, again, another game that was pretty decidedly one-sided. Next up, Vikings-Rams, which I think we're going to have a lot of games in the meh category this one, potentially, because it wasn't a close game. I can't put it in anything other than the meh tier, right? It was surprising. The Vikings were favored in this game. Now, it seemed like that was the one upset everyone was predicting. I predicted the Rams to win. I don't think any of us expected the blowout, though. So you kept wondering, like, are the Vikings going to find something? Are they going to get something back? And it just never happened. But as a whole, yeah, definitely entertainment to be had in that game, but when it's that lopsided, it has to be there. Commanders Buccaneers, which for me, I maybe wish I fell asleep during this game because I'm a Tampa Bay fan. But speaking objectively, this was a great game. It came down to the wire, last second field goal that hit off the upright and went in. There were several key plays with Baker Mayfield with that fumble. I'm still not sure if it was his fault or not. That got the Commanders back in it after they failed to convert on 4th down. Then they go for it on 4th down again, do convert, take the lead. Tampa Bay gets down the field, but then they screw up the snap count, which means that they don't end up being able to get a go-ahead touchdown. They have to settle for a game-tying field goal. Daniels was great in that final drive. Yeah, that was definitely the game of the wild card round for sure. Next up, Bills-Broncos, which for me, I'm gonna put this one actually into falling asleep category here. It was close at first. You saw Bo Nix have that play early on. You did get to see some great Josh Allen stuff. You know what? Okay, maybe these are all going to be in the meh categories, but I have to, just thinking about it, there was a moment when the Broncos had a chance in this game. They missed the field goal at the end of the half that would have tied the game at 10, and then in the third quarter, it was Josh Allen had that crazy 4th down play that kind of iced it, but if he didn't get that, the Broncos would have had a chance. So it wasn't a complete snoozer, but definitely not a one you would say was great. And then for the the final wild card game, Chargers-Texans, I think I once again am going to have to put this in this tier. That's just kind of how the wild card weekend went because, again, there was entertaining stuff. Seeing Herbert really kind of implode was fascinating for me. And so I think there are some relatively entertaining blowouts that can happen, like the Vikings-Rams is another example. But ultimately, when this game is over, when the 4th quarter starts, then it's not that entertaining of a game. But luckily, once we got past the wildcard round, things got a lot more interesting. First, Ravens-Bills. This was much-watched TV. This came down to a 2-point conversion attempt at the end for the Ravens to tie it. Weren't able to do so. Bills would have had a chance to win in regulation had the Ravens tied it. But still, seeing, once again, the Ravens' offense seemingly be unstoppable, except when they beat themselves. And you got to give credit to the Bills for making some of the turnovers. But still, it was yet another example of the Ravens moving the ball at will, but then turning the ball over. They seemingly finally get it. Lamar Jackson was so great in that final drive, and then ultimately Mark Andrews, who fumbled earlier in the game, drops the pass. Josh Allen didn't even really have to do a lot in this game, but that was still such a fascinating one. Yeah, that's must-watch TV for me. Commanders-Lions, I'm I'm kind of in between a couple here. I think you could talk me into must-watch TV for this one. I'm going to go entertaining, though, because, again, this game, final half of the fourth quarter, we knew how it was going to go. And really, it felt like the entire second half, we knew how this game was going to go. Once the Jared Goff picks, the pick six, okay, they still had a chance. Once the pick at the end of the half happened in the end zone, then it felt like this is probably not going to go well. They had a chance. They had moments, but they just could not get a stop. The reason why I'm much more interested in a game like this than the other ones is just there was just so many huge moments in this game that got, those Goff interceptions, the Jaden Daniels plays. There was that crazy fake play when Goff was sitting on the sidelines and Bridgewater was in that went for 60 yards and a touchdown. There was the Ben Johnson trick plays working. Ben Johnson trick plays very much not working and going horribly wrong. As a whole, this was entertaining. Feels like the correct tier here. You could argue must-watch TV. It was definitely one I'm glad I watched. I'll stick with that for now, though. Texans-Chiefs, I don't know. I thought this was a competitive game as well. The issue with this one, similar to Lions-Commanders, is at the end of the game, it was just not a nothing, basically. But you knew the Chiefs were going to win. But there was a lot of intrigue. First off, the ref stuff. That was fascinating. That's something to watch. I do think the Texans played well. And again, they had a point down 8 in the fourth quarter with the ball. They just weren't able to get much going and ultimately punted it away. Then the Chiefs got another score and were able to kind of get the dagger there. So yeah, I mean, entertaining again. To me, entertaining is like not a amazing game, but still one I'm glad I watched for the full 60 minutes. Final game in the divisional round, Rams-Eagles. Looking back at it, this was a really good divisional round. I feel like all the games were at least interesting, and some were great. This one, again, for most of it, it felt like it was going to be in the entertaining category. Matthew Stafford was so exciting in the first half, but then there were fumbles, and he had one of them in the second half. But looked like the Eagles were going to run away with it. Saquon Barkley gets the long run. Okay, entertaining game, but Eagles win. And then all of a sudden, this incredible late surge from the Rams, they nearly won. Remember, they were inside the 15, and they had a 3rd and 2 before Jalen Carter got an immediate sack and kind of iced the game that way. Yeah, this was must-watch TV. I mean, this was, I don't know, definitely the closest the Eagles came to losing. They were it felt like 50-50 at that point with what the Rams did. I honestly thought it was going to happen. I thought the Rams were going to pull off that comeback. Couldn't quite get it done, but yeah, that was a great game. So okay, good divisional round. Again, some clunkers coming up, but a very good conference championship game against the Bills and the Chiefs. Which, again, there was some rough stuff which we could talk about. I'm not gonna talk about it. Whatever. You know the rough stuff. I thought this was a great game though. I really did. I thought that there was tons of amazing plays throughout. I think the issue is seeing the big bad win just isn't as fun as seeing them get taken down. So had the Bills won, I think we would have felt better about it. But I mean, come on, Bills Chiefs in the playoffs. Has it ever not been must-watch TV? Well, yes, the first Josh Allen conference championship game loss against Mahomes was a blowout. But other than that, the most recent 3 have all been electric. This one, no exception. So hey, we got 4 games that would count as must-watch TV this postseason. Commanders, Eagles. I'm realizing now maybe I didn't need that bottom tier, or I guess we'll talk about it. Commanders, Eagles was another meh game. Again, we got a half of good football where for the Eagles. Going into the half, there was about 2 minutes left. There was a 4th down and 5. They decided to go for it at midfield. If they didn't convert, they were only up 14-12. The Commanders could have had the lead at the half, but the Eagles convert, score a touchdown. The Commanders fumble, Eagles score another touchdown, and then it was just ball game. Seeing how dominant the Eagles were in this game was still interesting in the second half, but yeah, nothing great there. And then the Super Bowl, Chiefs-Eagles. Pretty similar. I mean, it was a game for, honestly, it wasn't really a game for a bit, now that I'm thinking about it. It felt like I wasn't counting the Chiefs out because they're the Chiefs, so when they're down 10-0 halfway through the second quarter, I'm like, this could turn. We've seen Mahomes come back from 10 in the Super Bowl 3 times already. Then he throws the pick 6. Then he throws another pick that sets up the Eagles for another touchdown, and it's like, okay, this just isn't happening. I remember, again, just because the way I think about things, whenever there's a Super Bowl, I'm like, well, what can the other team do? I'm almost never someone who's like, well, 24-0, it's over, even if it's like in the fourth quarter. I think even 28-3, I was like, well, we'll see what the Patriots can do. Although that still surprised me. I'm not trying to say I called it or anything like that. Just that's kind of how my brain works. But then once the Chiefs didn't convert and the Eagles started getting first downs, like at that point it's like, oh, this just can't happen because the Eagles take up so much time every time they have the ball. Like this is just impossible down 24-0 against this team. So we got a half of football that was uneventful, and honestly, I would say even more than that because the second half of the second quarter, it was interesting to see Mahomes make mistakes, and I think that's what this game had going for it. Is the haters were having fun, and it's always nice to see like I said, see the dominant team get toppled. But this has to go into bottom tier. I mean, this was just not that eventful of a game. So unfortunately, the least entertaining game, in my opinion, happens to be the Super Bowl. But there's always interesting storylines, and you know what? Sometimes it's fun to see a quote-unquote snoozer and just see how dominant a team is. It's football. I enjoy watching it no matter what. And hey, I'd love to see another Chiefs-Eagles game next week. Unfortunately, we got to wait a while. But yeah, those are where I would have these teams. What do you think? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from y'all. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.